Johnson. It's Simon Catt from Catt Calls in Arlington. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Simon. Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's a little while since we saw you at the Arlington Rapallo up on the roof deck. Where are you at the moment?
I'm in the UK. I'm just heading off to Chile in a couple of days' time. So I've just been for a bracing dog walk in the winter sun here, covered in mud but hot.
Nice. Well, I was pounding down Leighton Beach, which is a dog beach here in Perth in West Australia, at 5:30 with some ridiculously fit younger men and some dogs. And it's dark here now, but really nice to see you. So Merlin, if we reflect on the year that was 2025, I think I'm right in saying you made 2 discoveries and each of them are potentially really big. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. Yeah. And just to put that in context, they're both in Chile, which is, of course, probably the best place to explore for copper in the world, not just because of the endowment, but also because of the permitting situation, the infrastructure, the knowledge about Chile, and we've got a new president as well. So that's kind of like the background. And then within that, we drilled a new kind of porphyry discovery just north of Santiago, which is hugely exciting. Very, very early stage. We literally put the first drill hole in. It's completely grassroots discovery, and that's kind of sandwiched in between. We've got Los Pelambres in the northeast, just kind of less than 100 k's away from us. We've got Los Bronces to the southeast, and just remember that's kind of together that's over 80 million tons of copper metal in those 2 deposits, and they produce hundreds of thousands of tons of copper per annum, and they're the flagships for Antofagasta, Los Pelambres, and actually kind of Tech Anglo is really based on Los Bronces.
And 80 million tons of contained copper. I think the annual copper market is around 25 million tons a year. Is that right?
Mine is about 24 million tons per annum. Yeah.
So it's 2 or 3 years of production from those 2 mines alone for the whole world. So that is as big as it gets. So if we look forward through to 2026, what's the plan with these 2 new discoveries?
Well, if I may just jump back. So that was one of them. And of course, we haven't found Los Pelambres yet, but we've got porphyry style rocks. And we've got our best result was 200 meters at 0.8% copper equivalent. The other discovery we've made is on the coastal plain, right next to Candelaria's Lundin Mining's Candelaria mine, which produces 150,000 tons of copper per annum and about 100,000 ounces of gold per annum. And that really drives the market capitalization of Lundin Mining, which is around $29 billion US at the moment. Sorry, Canadian, so 22 US. And that's the Buen Retiro project. And there was a small old copper mine there that operated 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But we've gone in there and done systematic new exploration, and we found a new oxide ore body, and we're just getting into the sulfides, hopefully making a kind of a Candelaria-2 style discovery.
And you've got 2 discoveries. Which one are you more excited about?
Buen Retiro, the IOCG, the iron oxide copper gold project on the desert. It's right next to the highway, right next to Copiapó, very close to Candelaria. That's fundamentally de-risked relative to the Caballos porphyry discovery.
That's because of where it is.
It's de-risked by where it is. It's also because there was a small open pit mine there in the past. There's quite a lot of drilling around, and we've done about 15,000 meters of drilling in that area. So we've done 45 diamond holes, and we've done 20 odd RC holes. So we're kind of really getting to know it and beginning to map it out. Not only that, but the oxide resource, or the oxide mineralization that we're hitting, we've got a potential, there's a kind of an empty plant nearby, and we've got a partner who's kind of quite keen to develop it. So we've got a fast track on production, which could generate serious amounts of cash flow for us. So it's hugely exciting, and it's de-risked. I just want to say that the other one, the porphyry discovery, is really exciting, perhaps more for a geologist, because to make a new discovery and to rewrite the map of Chile is tremendously exciting. But we have got more work to do there. We're just about to go into the first phase of geophysics and then secondary drilling. So it's really exciting, but much earlier stage than the more advanced, more developed Buen Retiro project.
Right. And the low Andes one you just mentioned, which is called Caballos, which I can remember because it's horses in Spanish.
Yeah.
Where did that project come from? How did you come to be making this brave Greenfields copper discovery attempt?
My kind of key business partner in Fitzroy Minerals, there are 3 of us. There's Campbell, the chairman, and there's Gilberto Schubert, the COO and country manager. And I first met Gilberto 10 years ago. I rated him very highly when I was looking at a copper project. And he is the ex-CEO of Vale's operations in Chile. And he was there. He's been in Chile for 20 years, and he has seen every single copper project in Chile. He's built a couple of copper mines. And this Caballos was an old exploration project that Vale had, but dropped in the global financial crisis in 2008. But it was kind of unfinished business that Gilberto had.
Right. Did Vale drill it, Merlin, or?
No, Vale did some geophysics. They did some geophysics. They consolidated the ground. They took some stream sediment samples, some mapping. BHP were on the southern part of the ground. Everybody's been in there and taken a few samples, but no one has actually progressed it to detailed mapping and drilling. We were the first drill hole in there. And there's quite a funny angle to this, because in Chile, quite a lot of the Chilean geologists and the senior geologists for the big companies, they come with a kind of a Lowell Gilbert model of porphyry copper. It's got to look a certain way. You need these certain key ingredients. And if it doesn't present as a conventional porphyry copper exploration target, most people will walk away. Now, I've worked globally, and I haven't done a huge amount of work in porphyries. And so when I went out and had a look at it 2 years ago, I just saw the mineralization and the strength of the system, and I thought, wow, this is worth chasing. And so that's how we brought it into Fitzroy. It was my ignorance that actually helped.
Well, sometimes it helps to not have a rule book if you want to like make a new discovery in a new region, I guess. And okay, so that's in the low Andes. You mentioned it's early. What can we expect in the next 12 months in terms of drilling this discovery out? How much more drilling do you have to do before that becomes like it looks like it's a mine?
It's only at 2,000 meters, so it's not particularly high. It's in the foothills of the Andes, and we've got track access to it, and it's got a good camp site there. We've actually bought some land up the valley, so we've got access rights. We're part of the community there, and we've mapped out a breccia on the surface, which is 1 kilometer long, and we've put a few holes into this, and we can see that there are a few hundred meters immediately south that are just crying out for drilling. What we're doing in the first instance is doing some geophysics over the full area, because there are some masking younger volcanics. And we are pretty sure that what we're seeing, this breccia that we've drilled, is linked to a bigger porphyry system, because we're seeing the right kind of veining, the right kind of alteration, the right kind of mineralization being brought up in these breccias. So we know that there's something around. So our plan this year is two-stepped. One is we're going to drill out the breccia, and if that comes in, that alone could warrant a commercial kind of go decision. I mean, it's not billions of tons, but in this area, we think that somewhere between 70 and 100 million tons at around 0.5% copper would warrant a build decision. If that hangs together.
Does that include the molybdenum or just the copper, Merlin?
It's a copper molybdenum gold system, and we expect that would be kind of a copper equivalent. So if you've got a copper equivalent of 0.5, and you can recover the moly and you can recover the copper, there's actually silver and gold in the system as well, and we'd expect that to go with the copper, and then you'd have a moly con on the side. So if the metallurgy works out, we're targeting 70 to 100 million tons as being the kind of the threshold of what would be a commercially viable in-pit resource.
And that's just with the breccia, the porphyry is on top?
That's just in the breccia. And we think that we're not that far from being able to drill something like that out this year. Just in terms of the dimensions of the scale of the mineralization and the breccia that we can see at the surface, and the geography of the valley, we think we can do that. Plus we're doing the geophysics, and we'll be able to map out the architecture, hopefully, of a deeper, bigger ore body that we'll also be able to put some holes into.
So would we get a maiden resource on this Caballos horses project this year, or is that going to take longer? A
resource could come if the variability is low. So if we can get good continuity section to section, then we might get a resource. If not, it'll, well, obviously we've got to drill it to show that the mineralization is there, but it'll be what it will be. But we're pretty hopeful for this year that we can flesh out that exploration target in the breccia, and then test what we think is going to be a deeper porphyry discovery through the geophysics.
Okay. And how many rigs are drilling there now, Merlin, on the Caballos project?
We've actually just finished a drilling contract there. So we've got the last data coming through from that drill program. The geophysics program, we're flying about 700 line kilometers of a mobile MMT, mobile magnetotellurics MMT survey. And the buoy that's going to be used, the flying rig, has just been stuck in the polar vortex in Canada, but I think it came out of Canada yesterday and it's on its way down to Ecuador. So we'll be flying that in the next week or two. And then we'll interpret the geophysics and then get going on the second phase drilling.
And geophysics, will that help you interpret where the deeper porphyry target might be?
Absolutely. That's the key reason for doing it. We've got this skim of younger volcanics off to the east. We can see the breccia heading off underneath that skim of volcanics. And we can do a bit of chasing with the drill bit at shallow depths, but we're pretty sure that there's a bigger system in there. I mean, just by the scale of this. I mean, it runs for kilometers. We've got 12 kilometers of mineralized fault breccia on our property. 12 kilometers, and it's a huge system. And we're in the land of the giants. So let's use the tools that will give us better visibility. I mean, the cost of that geophysical survey is the cost of one drill hole. So why not do it?
Yeah, of course. No, I've heard Craig Parry, your advisor, well known as a pretty remarkable mine finder in Canada with this silver, copper, etc. He's saying, look, the breccia came from somewhere. It's clearly a porphyry, and you've just got to get underneath it and go and find where it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to put things in context, we have got an exploration program there that'll come. The drilling will come after the geophysics, but we're doing much more drilling at Buen Retiro. We've got kind of a more aggressive exploration plan at Buen Retiro, and that's for a number of reasons. One is that we've just had a world expert on these kinds of IOCGs visit our project area, and she said it's quite remarkable. This is an absolute analog. There are very, very few tiny minor differences between the mineralization that she can see at our project Buen Retiro to Candelaria.
That's the Lundin mining, carries most of Lundin mining's market capitalization, which you mentioned earlier was about $22 billion US.
22 billion US, and it produces between 140 and 160,000 tons of copper per annum, and it's a billion-tonne resource that's been mined for 20 years. They've got two operations. One's an open pit and one's the underground. And the open pit average grade is, according to their reports, is about 0.37% copper with a tiny bit of gold. And this is in sulfides. And then their underground resource, they don't split out, but we think it's around 0.6%, between 0.6 and 0.7% copper. Now, we've just put some new drill holes into a kind of a new area in the north of our concession area, and we're hitting very, very kind of Candelaria-style mineralization, and that is what our consultant just came and reviewed. She's internationally renowned. She's been made the SEG, the Society of Economic Geologists, international lecturer for this year, 2026. She's a proper top level geo, yeah. And she says we're definitely in the upper Pucobre formation, which is exactly what the Candelaria open pit is in.
Your partner in Chile is called Pucobre. Is that a coincidence?
Well, it's not a coincidence, because the area that we're in around Copiapó is actually called Punta del Cobre, which means the area of copper. And the formations, the geology, has been shortened to the Punta del Cobre formation, which they call the Pucobre formation. And the company is actually, its full name is the Company of Punta del Cobre, which gets shortened to Pucobre.
So this is Pucobre, listed in Chile, market cap's now well over $2 billion. Are they called Pucobre because their foundational asset is here in this region where you are?
Absolutely. They started mining and producing copper out of oxide operations, and they had a central hub with an SXEW plant just outside Copiapó, and that's called Planta Biocobre, because they had a bio leaching phase at one point. But now essentially it's a tank house, an SXEW tank house, and it's pretty empty. And they've approached us and said, hey, why don't we fill up that tank house with material from your project, because they've got a back-in right to 30% of our project. They will effectively pay us back for the work that we've done, and then and then they'll have 30%, which we expect they'll want to do sometime next year or 2020. And we should be able to get a little heap leach project up and running, not big, just small on the side. They will run it. We've got 70% of it. They've got 30% of it. 10,000 tons total copper production. But the crucial thing is that 10,000 tons is what, 22 million pounds. We'll be 70% of that, so call it 15 million pounds. And we think that we can see that these kinds of operations in Chile operate with total costs of around $1.50 per pound, maybe $2. And if the price is $4, $5.50 or $6.50, you're talking about making total kind of a profit of $4 or $5 on every pound that's produced. And if you're producing 22 million pounds, that's a hell of a lot of cash flow.
Wow, that's over $100 million.
So our plan is to have 70% of that cash flow coming to us to fund our 2 exploration projects on a non-dilutive basis.
Wow. And just so I get the background right, Merlin, so your Chilean partner, Pucobre, you're earning into 100% of this Candelaria lookalike. They have a back-end right for 30%, and they would do that because you might be in the future or the near future producing 10,000 tonne a year of copper through their plant.
Yes, and they are also doing a $700 million build at the moment on a sulfide plant further south that's going to take their production from 35,000 tons up to 60,000 tons per annum. So this, Buen Retiro could be the second development option for them. What I'm trying to say is that they're an ideal partner for any build or operation in Chile.
Wow. Okay, and so when might it become obvious that you are on to a Candelaria sort of size discovery here?
Well, we're already onto a Candelaria system. We've already got the same mineralization. We've got the same basic grade rocks. We're hitting kind of good intersections of 0.4% copper with little bits of gold at shallow levels. So we're already in a Candelaria system. The question is, can we delineate a billion-tonne resource? Obviously, we don't need a billion-tonne resource for this to be incredibly valuable, but it'll just be watching the drilling as we go through. We are going to do some geophysics to map out the deeper features of Buen Retiro. We've got some basic IP which shows a 3 kilometer by 2 kilometer kind of anomaly at depth. We're going to use fleet space technologies probably to do some passive work to get some real resolution on those anomalies at depth, get some good granularity, and then we're going to be able to target stratigraphy and structure, looking for the lower Pucobre formation, which is where the bulk of the higher grade Candelaria mineralization is. So that'll come during the course of that'll come in the second half of the year, the lower Pucobre, but we're drilling the upper Pucobre at the moment and making discoveries. It's open to the northeast, and we're advancing the oxides as well.
So Merlin, maybe just to recap then, if you could just summarize for us what shareholders of Fitzroy can look forward to in 2026. What are the things going to make the shares go up?
More results from Buen Retiro, more just kind of basic steady exploration drilling results, proving that this thing has got real legs. We want to make public our relationship with Pucobre. They're in the process of kind of writing a kind of a general agreement saying, hey, we like these Fitzroy guys and we're going to build a heap leach with them and we're going to make a lot of money. I think that would be a big de-risking step. People will say, oh, this is real. This has got the capacity to produce $100 million of free cash flow per annum for at least 10 years. So I think that'll be a de-risking step. Related to that, we're aiming to complete a pre-feasibility study on that heap leach project this year or possibly into Q1 next year. And that will put some real numbers around it, and we'll be able to pretty much build straight off that. So we could be in production in late 27 or early 2028 in production. I mean, it's a super, super fast development timeline. So I think news on that will drive the share price. And then, of course, we're starting the geophysics in Caballos. And if we can identify some bigger targets there and get drilling there, that will also drive the share price. I mean, any discovery drill hole, as you know, can cause a share price to go up a multiple of times.
Well, given that you started with, 100, 200 meters at 0.5% copper plus gold plus moly in the 2 different projects, you've had a pretty good start. Clearly, those are better than economic. You just have to get some more of those. And I wish you well in 26, Merlin.
Thank you very much, Simon.